This is awesome.
So I'm glad to have you on. First question. Obviously,
Yes.
you know, this season we've seen a side of Shane that we have never seen.
His backside.
How is it for you? Yeah.
Undercarriage?
How is it for
Yeah.
you watching him in these sex scenes?
He looked fucking great. So I loved it. I got to be honest with you. And when he found out that he was having these scenes, he was terrified.
Mhm.
And so the truth is that before he shot these scenes, we kind of ran them together. I mean, I wasn't like, whatever. I left that to Patton. But I was like, try this shit, like go for it. And we discussed it not being like any other sex scene that had been seen. I was like, how does Sax fuck? How does Sax do this shit? Do that. You know? And so honestly, it was great. He was a little nuts about it. He's a little concerned about his physique, which is
Come on, bro.
I know.
Like, really?
Are you? I mean, you want to just sort of beat the shit out of him for even feeling that way, but that's the truth. He was self-conscious, and I was, you know, so most of it was sort of energy towards him saying like, "You're good, you're great, you're fine." So, I mean, he looks amazing.
He does.
He should have had sex scenes a long time ago. Didn't bother me. I guess that's the answer to that.
We've had many sex scenes.
A lot of them. We're about to have one in a second. It's happening right now. You just can't see anything.
Listen, man, the viewership's gonna go up because of that. I mean, I spoke this with Shane before in regards to like having a balance per se of like both of you obviously being in the business, balancing, you know, careers and family life. How for you, like, how do you balance it?
It's definitely tricky because, you know, he's back and forth, but he comes back a lot. I mean, he's as dedicated as you guys see him on screen. He's that way as a father and a husband, truthfully, honestly. So it has been very easy to support him. You know this as an actor, you can have a lot of work and then you can not get arrested. So during this time where it's an upswing, I mean, listen, in Power, he had one line. It started off, he was never supposed to stick around. And so once the writers and everybody else sort of fell in love with Shane and things expanded and evolved, I don't know, it's easy to support him. I know what he's doing. It does get tricky as our kids have gotten older because as they get older, they get into more of their own things, you know, football or running, whatever it is that they're into, their friends and all that stuff. And in the meantime, I have my own career. So it is, and then, you know, we work at this acting school and stuff like that. So it's been a balance. It's been nuts. And I stupidly 2 years ago said I would be president of my kids, like PTA, which is something I didn't need. And I'm also the school mascot, which is also a dumb choice I made.
She's straight up the school mascot.
I am.
She dresses up in
Are you serious?
Wildcat.
Yeah, I have zero shame. Yeah, zero shame. So so it's tricky, but I do know that this doesn't necessarily last forever. It's a moment. It's been a great 9 years of moment, but it's easy to support his journey. His journey is my journey, back and forth. There've been years where he couldn't work and I was working. So whatever. We both have been really lucky to continue to work, particularly during the last couple of BS years. You know? Yeah.
Well, he gave me his take. I want to get your take. You guys have had this beautiful, 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 amazing relationship foundation that you guys have built. And I told him, I said, you know what, you have people that have relationships, you have people that have marriages. And when I look at what you guys have built together, I said, this is an empire ship. For you, how do you, what's the word? What advice would you give, in your words, in a sense, on what you feel has made your foundation, your empire ship work, when you obviously know in our business that doesn't always happen? There's not always that support system. There's not always that equal balance. There's not always that supportive person. There's sometimes resentment where you said one person's working, one person's not working, one person's, you know, putting their dreams on hold while the other person's pursuing their shit. How
Yeah,
do you keep that foundation going, and what's your advice for keeping it going?
it's not a competition. Like I said, at the time, years, his race and my race, and as an actor, and his, for me as an actor, and him as an actor, and me as a singer, and him as a writer, and then finally we realized that, and we were both really involved, and we knew what the other person was doing, but not really. So we became partners. We opened up a production company together. So
Okay.
his projects were mine, my projects were his, 100%. So it costs us whatever we're doing. So we don't compete with each other. We have mutual respect for one another. You won't find a bigger fan of Shane than me.
Mm-hmm.
And honestly, in return, which is great. But I love the shit out of him, but I really like him. I really do. So he's great. As much as many of you may hate him, you would love him in person. He's just amazing. He's, like I said, he's a delight.
So like when it comes to like, projects and stuff like that, even for the for the both of you, what is do you guys make decisions together in regards, like if he's presented with something, whether he should take it? Like, do you give him more input, or does he just sort of say, okay, you do your thing and I do my thing?
No, I don't need his permission, and he doesn't need mine. And I mean that in a really nice way.
Mm-hmm.
Down to, although we have a shared account, I have my account, he has his. He never has to ask me, nor am I ever going to ask him to buy something. He's a grown man, I'm a grown woman. We can do our own thing. We honestly, we adore each other, but we're independent.
Mm-hmm.
So
Where did
I
he go?
think that's.
Where is he?
He's right here. He's standing
Tell
here
him
like a
to
jackass. I don't
tell
know
him to
why
grab
you're
his
standing over there.
tell him to grab
Grab
your
your
phone,
He-Man.
and then grab your phone, and then he can link in through your phone.
All right.
Okay, I'll go figure it out for another room.
He's left. He's going into that room.
We can't both be the same room.
We can be in the same room. That's the whole point of this relationship. This is what we're talking about. You son of a bitch. Just kidding. I know he's coming.
So I know
He's coming on my phone.
you've yourself have done some amazing work in the business. Like, tell me your story in the sense of how you feel the industry has changed now for you as a woman, starting off when you started to now.
Well, it never occurred to me that I couldn't work as a woman. So I know that sounds maybe not so great, but that's the truth. So even though the odds, obviously, I guess literally were stacked against women, it never occurred to me that that was the case.
Mm-hmm.
So I went after shit just like anybody else. The first 3 jobs I booked were written for men. They were roles written for men. So I guess I don't take no very well or whatever, I just kind of go for it. So it absolutely has opened up for women, and as it should have. It was time. The industry has changed. I heard you guys talking about social media.
Yep.
I feel similar to how Shane feels, but I feel like everybody deserves their shot. And if it's sustainable for you, if that's something that you can sustain, the trickiest thing about this business is that it's a business. So for those of us who are creative, that itself is hard to maintain if you didn't figure that out, because it's not just about showing up and, being funny or, being able to cry or or looking good, because that only lasts so long. So you have to have the chops, which is why he always says, you got to study, and that's the truth. You have to have that meat on the bone in order to sustain it. So the industry, it's changed. Is he coming on?
Yeah.
It has changed, but with that, we all change, and that's fine. It's changed from obvious. There he is.
There is.
Hello.
I'm here.
So like in an era now that we're in, obviously we, the last 3 years we went through the whole Me Too movement per se. In an era, I guess you would say, of the Harvey Weinstein aspect, what advice would you give for young female actors breaking into the business to avoid those specific situations?
Well, first of all, there's nothing better than your gut instinct. So if something doesn't feel right, it's not. That's one. And, and always, take somebody with you. You should never be put in a position